quarantine with the Nottingham-based four-piece grunge band It's Just a Ride. How are you?
Yeah, we're good.
Very good, very good.
Here. We've got Drew and we've got Rod. So give us a wave. So Drew first, so we know who you are. You're both waving at the same time. That's not helpful.
No, okay. Yeah. Confuse everyone.
Sorry.
I'm the singer. You're the guitarist. Yeah.
Yes. And then Rod is the vocalist who's wearing the plain t-shirt.
Yeah.
In fact, Rod, you should have Drew's hat because it matches your t-shirt.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should have a black hat and a grey t-shirt, shouldn't I?
Did you? Oh, yeah.
You know, so that we could be like a chessboard.
Yeah, you could. but you're not, so we won't worry too much about that. So you're based in Nottingham, but from what I can gather, only one of you lives in Nottingham.
Yeah, so Nottingham is sort of our base of operations. Like pre-lockdown, we like my place was kind of kitted out so we could rehearse there and write there and do all that. Had a lovely little garage space. And will return again, but having some work done, so in a rented property at the moment. But Nottingham, because everyone is so kind of stretched over the country, so Drew is in Hampshire, our bass player Russ is down in Brighton, and our drummer Alex is up in Yorkshire. Nottingham is kind of in the middle, and you know, I'm the only one who is weighed down with a couple of kids, so it's easier for everyone to come to me. And yeah, in the past, you know, we've had the space for everyone to come and stay with us in Nottingham, which has been nice. So we can do these, you know, like little weekend aways where we, you know, get together, practice, write.
Weekend aways.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful. I'd like to come to one of these. Do you do like canapes in the garden and that sort of thing?
I can do.
I think we should.
Definitely get on the barbecue as well. You know,
we get Papa John's in though. Happily. What we did last time.
And the barbecue sounds fabulous. We've got the weather for it now as well, so I expect to be doing a lot of barbecuing at the moment.
Every day.
No, I bet it smells amazing where you are. You have earned the title of Britain's answer to Stone Temple Pilots by Alternative Nations. So how did that happen and when?
Well, that was a while ago. That was a few years ago, wasn't it? Now, which was nice. We put out our first single, "I Wanna Know," and it got in the hands of like a reporter, didn't it? From Alternative Nation. I can't remember his name now. David Bronstein.
David Bronstein, I think.
David Bronstein, and he wrote this amazing article. And actually, that was our like first ever review. And it was, I was like absolutely blown away at the time. It was like, wow, okay, cool. Like we weren't expecting that. Because, you know, in our brains, we're like, that's exactly, you know, the music we love is that, you know, it just kind of was, it's for all that era. So, you know, if he was like Britain's answers to like, I don't know, Whitesnake, I would have been like, well, that's wrong. But
I love Whitesnake. I'll just put that out there.
I love Whitesnake. Sorry, that's really the wrong thing. But you know what I mean? Like the music we're making, it was like, oh wow, like he really heard our like kind of influences like in that genre. And that
you got a spot on, in fact, because you know you are now modelling the Stone Temple Pilots t-shirt.
You know,
so
it's funny. It's funny.
On the money there, could it?
Yeah, you know what? I just whacked it on or whatever. But it's what. Yeah, but it's true that it's just one of those things. Like it's one of those bands. Like especially this album, like the number 4 record is just hugely influential. Like you know the later stuff. Anyway, yeah, it's brilliant. You know, I wonder where David Bowie got his album cover from. I do wonder that. It's like exactly the same. You're like, okay.
The other thing that's really weird for us about kind of, I guess, the grunge thing is like, you know, Drew and I guess, kind of came to grunge maybe a little bit later through, you know, we were talking a few weeks ago about, you know, Chris Cornell, obviously it's, you know, that it was the anniversary of his passing. And obviously we're talking about, you know, the huge influence that he had on, that, you know, he as a vocalist and Soundgarden as a band had on us. And we were talking about, well, actually the first Chris Cornell experience we really had when, you know, he was releasing new music was actually Euphoria Morning, which was his solo albums after Soundgarden had split up. And it was only really through listening to Euphoria Morning, it was like, you know, as we were probably, 13, 14, 15 at the time when that album came out, getting really into that, and then finding out, oh, there's this thing called Soundgarden that he was from. And, you know, it kind of opened up that way. So I think what's kind of weird is the music that we listened to as teenagers originally that kind of got us into grunge was the music that was influenced by grunge. So I think as we kind of matured and we kind of, you know, you explore who your idols are and who influenced them, I think we realized actually it wasn't necessarily like first-hand influence straight away, but as we kind of developed as musicians, got a bit older and knew more about the background, you kind of realize, oh, do you know, you go to the source for your influence as well. So it's a bit of a weird one for us on grunge.
So when did this band form? Because you mentioned that the review you got in Alternative Nation was quite a few years ago. So how long have you been going?
Okay. So I started this band actually pre other band I was in. You know that one. And I kind of started it before that actually, and then when I joined the other band, we were still doing it, but I don't know, life just kind of take over. I was doing that, and then I ended up going off doing Rock of Ages for a bit because we sort of lost our bass player. That's in the video for I Want to Know. Sorry, didn't lose him. He didn't die. That's fine. Like
he's in Brazil. He's fine.
He went to Brazil, and it was my idea, like, but I just kind of had this idea. I was like, what's the music I really want to write? So I just wrote a bunch of songs, like with no lyrics and melodies. And I put an ad out on Gumtree and all sorts. And I was just getting like, just for a singer, you know, I actually had the bass player because I actually approached our old bass player originally to say, you know, do you want to, I think we had jammed before, and he was saying about his influences. I was like, mate, do you want to start a band? He was like, yeah. So I've got all these ideas. And he was just like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And then I was looking for a singer and drummer. The singer took ages to get Rod. And fortunately, I knew Rod from a previous band. Rod used to be in a band years ago called Violent Delight, which were like signed to sort of major label and sort of did really well. And I sort of joined it briefly. Just before it sort of broke up, I was kind of there, just holding the seams of the band together, and then
Rod. The reason for the breakup, then you were holding it.
No, we were on a steady downward trajectory.
Yeah, I just kind of helped out right at the end, and ironically, so Rod knows Mike Gray, and sort of Mike Gray was filling in, and that's the first time I met Mike Gray. So we're talking like 2003, 2004, so it was a long time ago. Right. But anyway, so I kind of put an ad out, and then Rod was really. I think I put it on Facebook, didn't I, Rod? I was just getting desperate at one point, and people were just sending me all sorts. And Rod was like really drunk. Like the ad was basically like, here's 4 songs, sing on top of them and send them back, which is kind of like how Pearl Jam got Vedder. They sort of did that, didn't they? They had like a blank cassette of just melodyless, wordless songs. They were like full songs, weren't they, Rod, that I wrote, but just without, and which some have landed on the album, which is great. And I just sent it. And Rod was drunk, and I think and we were both drunk or something. And then he was like, "Oh, I'll give it a go." And I was like, "Yeah, all right." And he did, and he smashed it out of the park. He just sent me these back. I was like, "Wait, this is great. Like, what's going on?" Like, and he was like, "Oh yeah, well, do you want?" And then did that, and then getting the drummer. Oh, that's always hard, getting a decent drummer. It's been a bit of a journey to get it here, because after I left the other band and then I did a bit of Rock of Ages because our old bass player left. We didn't go on a hiatus. We sort of just were like floating, and then we got Russ in, which is great, which really kind of ignited everything again. And we just smashed out a record essentially.
I think lockdown played a big part of it, because I think actually, to be fair, Drew, to answer the question, I think we started doing this in about end of 2015.
It was a while ago,
wasn't it? But because it was, for a long time, it was a bit of like a writing project. So we probably didn't really gig or anything for 18 months. You know what I mean? Like it was very much like passing things back and forward. And it probably got us quite ready for lockdown, because we were doing everything remotely. We were rarely in the same room together, going backwards and forwards. But yeah, I think this year with the lockdown, it really kind of put things in perspective. I think a lot of musicians are probably thinking about that. And I've noticed a lot of bands even forming, and people that maybe they, you know, in my case, I sort of thought like music might be done for me. And Just a Ride was like the first rekindling of, okay, yeah, you know what, I'll do that. Because I had quite a bad experience of music industry. You know, I was kind of signed to a major at 15 and completely chewed up and spit out by 18, 19. And it's like, it's hard. So I took a really big, long break, probably nearly 10 years before I started writing with Drew again. But I think during the lockdown, it was like, actually, do you know what? I really love music. Like we all do. We've got some good songs. Let's just get this thing finished. So I think the first
done.
Yeah, the first part of lockdown was just finishing. You know, we had the guts of an album probably for about a year on the table, but it was like 80% there, and then we just hammered through. Got a fair few new tracks as well, and really kind of jigged it around a little bit. Wrote some new great stuff, completely revamped a few bits, and yeah, it was that kind of first early lockdown. We really were like, okay, let's get this done. And then we were teed up, October sort of time, when everything sort of started relaxing. As soon as we could, we just got in the studio, laid down the record, and you know, we've had a few delays, kind of getting it finished and mixed and everything like that. But you know, it all worked out well in the end. We managed to get on board Chris Sheldon, who's a really phenomenal, like elite level mixer to just give the songs the sound that I think they really deserve. And yeah, you know, we're kind of ready to rock now.
So you've got this album, so it's going to be your debut, and it's a self-titled album. When is it due for release?
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, we were talking about September, but thing is, it's like we're releasing singles at the moment, and you know, it's all a bit trial and error. But what seems to be the way people digest stuff as new listeners is like you got to have things constantly released.
Yeah.
So the old method just doesn't approach. I mean, it doesn't work so much. It does if you've got like a core fan base, maybe, you know, and things like that. But certainly for us, like, I know we've all done stuff before and we've been in bands and blah blah blah, but this is a new band, so you've got to kind of sing its praises and tell people what it is. And the only way to do that really is get things out, you know, every 6 to 8 weeks. You know, it's just like next, and then at the end, you know, we can sell it as a packaged thing, you know, rather than going 2 singles, here's your record, you know, because we're not signed. This is all DIY. You know, Rod's like absolutely driving the boat here, and it's. We've got PR, like, and that's really helped, you know, just having things like that. We've got starting to get 1 or 2 things booked in gig wise now, sort of festivals and stuff for next year, which is great. But we really need to look at possibly jumping on a tour or something like that, or getting our own gigs together. But you know, in terms of the album, sorry, I'm digressing a bit. You know, I think we're just going to judge it how this goes. You know, we might push it back a little bit more, you know, to October. We really don't, you know, we need to have a bit of a discussion about it. I think it is ready.
Your last song, the single that you dropped, that I wanted to talk about, Time Is Running.
Yeah.
So if we could just sort of touch on that a bit. So that's the third single that you've released from your upcoming album.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the song. What is it about? Because you've got a video as well, haven't you?
Rod's the lyricist. Go for it.
Yeah, so I guess Time Is Running Out is hopefully the message is in the title. I think the thing is...
it's a bit scary, that.
It is, but, you know, I think we live in... I don't want to say scary times. I think we live in unprecedented times. Do you know, I think in the last year or so, I think every single person in the world has gone through something that hasn't ever happened. Do you know? I know there've been pandemics and bits and pieces like that in the past. I don't want to trivialize anything, but I just think we live in a global world, and you know, for the world to kind of slow down to a halt almost. I mean, there were periods. I mean, again, like I said, it was good for us. We kind of just hammered out some writing, but there were periods, you know, I can talk about personally where, you know, I was pretty terrified. And Time Is Running Out had been in development for probably for about 2 years. It was a chorus that we had written, and we didn't quite have a verse, and we actually used the time in the lockdown to kind of
we should release that other version.
Oh, that is, yeah, it's fruity, that one. But but in kind of writing completely new verses and a new middle eight, it completely changed kind of the mood of the song, and it is very much reflective of kind of what was going on at the time of this kind of great deal of uncertainty, and I always try and write lyrics that have kind of that aren't, this is exactly what I'm singing about. I like to think about I don't know, like the big kind of like I don't know, like concepts that could apply to many different situations. And I mean, for me, I think about Time Is Running Out could be, for me, it was about politics, kind of about the environment, all of these things, and just general sort of societal change. I'm kind of like very into philosophy and that sort of thing. So it's not directed at any one cause, but no matter what, a lot of the kind of hot topic issues in the world that we've had over the last year or so, they're all about kind of, there's this, we've been doing something for a while, and why exactly are we doing it, and at what point will there be the kind of change that maybe is needed, or and at what point, if we don't make the change, do we run out of time? So like I said, I wanted to portray that feeling, because it was a very general feeling I was having over a wide variety of subjects, and rather than saying I'm going to write about X thing that is happening right this second, I just kind of was like, let's write about the feelings I'm having, because there were, like I said, there were a number of topics, and it's like, wow, they were very diverse, very different, but essentially I don't know, the trepidation, the emotions I was feeling kind of fit this whole sort of pattern. And that's very much what the song is about. And generally on the album, I try not to ever go into specifics, because I think you can alienate people, or you can, I'm very much a believer that as an artist, you're writing a song for other people to interpret. So the artists that I love are very much in those kind of, have that kind of attitude to writing songs, aside from like Rage Against the Machine, who I love, and it's pretty obvious.
Very political.
but it's not that it's political, it's just that, like, I know what Zach the Rocker is singing about, like, when he's singing about a specific song. But I don't know, if you listen to, like, I don't know, like Bowie's a big one, where there's a lot of like just grand concepts that you're talking about. You're just talking about human nature. You're talking about like the natural order of things. You're talking about like ecosystems, that that sort of thing. And that's kind of more where I kind of that's where I like to operate.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for that insight. That's
it's good. It's deep, but it
is. I wanted to let people know that you're doing a weekly Meet the Band on your social media pages. Right. So far, have you just had the first one with your bass player? I think it was.
Yeah. The first one with Russ.
Yes, with Russ. So you're going to be going through each band member, so one at a time, and just getting to know people. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's the big thing with social media at the moment. It's a really, the industry is so strange in that I think years and years and years ago, or I wouldn't say years and years and years ago, even when I was kind of first time around getting into it, it was like people we would value the tracks as the most important thing, and the stuff that would be given away for free would be the behind the scenes and this and that. And I just think the entire industry is just kind of inverted, and it's like artists give their music away for free. Everyone does it. As whether that's right or wrong, that's a conversation for another day, but that's just generally the way things are. But where you're really going to get people to connect with you is if they have an emotional connection. There are, I think 60,000 tracks a day get uploaded to Spotify. So what can you do to make people listen to you. And it's about having those connections with people, and it's about, I think it's an interesting world, because you have the opportunity, and we have this, and it's a real like blessing to have that. People like follow us on Instagram or on Facebook, and they get in contact with us, and they'll talk to us, and they'll get to know us. And I think, you know, there's a hunger for that. So what we want to do is to put out information about us, let people know, you know, what your everyday life is like, you know, the reality of being in a band in 2021. You know, there's weird stuff, like, you know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I would have been a bit funny about like, oh, should I put a picture of my, you know, should I get filmed like doing something with the kids? Because that's not very rock and roll. Then it's like, well, that's me. That's who I am. And I think people, and maybe sometimes that can kind of almost be inspirational. You know, there are a lot of people who are in the same position, and you know, they're maybe looking for new music, and you want to connect with people that are like you. You know, so to see musicians with families and real lives and whatever, it makes people think, yeah, do you know what? I could give that a go. I could do that. And yeah, you know, we really want with Just a Ride to have a real element of kind of positivity. You know, I think, you know, the times that we live in are so divisive at the moment that, you know, music should just be about a place where everyone can come together. They can just have fun, and you know, everyone's welcome. You know, you can put all of your differences aside, and you can just rock out. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what I remember about going to gigs and stuff like that when I was a kid.
Rod, are you saying you want to write the song that unites the universe in harmony, like Bill and Ted?
Possibly. I've been trying.
Did you watch the new
I was trying to keep that under wraps, but possibly, yeah.
That's the next release.
We do.
That's the next release.
Yeah, that is the next. That is the next release. If you cut your hair short and I grew my hair long, I'm just saying.
All right.
Well, what is under that hat? Do we get to see?
Actually, me?
Yeah.
My hair is short. It's short now.
Yeah.
I just had a shower, so it's just like blonde and short. I had it all. Yeah. So it's just. I just got it all cut off because it was like down to there, and then
I think they were going to be like Rapunzel. But
yeah, that was right. Yeah, and then I just had it all cut the other day, and then I'm like, I kind of regret it. So
oh, a little grow back.
I hope so. I'm getting older now. I hope so.
Fingers crossed it grows back for you. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. I absolutely love talking to you. I think you could talk about your music all night, which is great. Please let everyone know when you're going to be out on the road. I guess we should all keep an eye on your socials for updates.
Stay on Instagram. That's the one.
Yeah, right. Instagram above everything.
Just a Ride. Is it just at Just the Ride?
Just the Right Band.
Just the Right Band. Excellent. Lovely chatting to you guys. Wish you all the best.
Thanks, Anne.
And
awesome.
Take care. Everyone, check out the latest video. Time is running out.
There you go. Job done.
Lots of love.
See you later.
See ya.